Again, this is something that we see very specifically in the Elizabethan times, but with a different sort of set of characteristics to it. So when we get to, say, Merchant of Venice, I'll point out some of those differences as well. So yes, each show had to contain music and jesters who were usually kind of, comically described as comically overweight or ate a lot and things like that. But were always sort of a source of extra wisdom for the heroic figures. Now, time and space is observed to a point. One of the characteristics Bharata mentioned was that no act should take place in more than a 24-hour period. So most of the time, in fact all of the time that I know of, when an act begins, it kind of takes place in real time, so much as it's not, mystical, because we do take some bypasses to some fairy lands and so forth. But it is meant to be within a tight time frame which depicts an incident. So something happens in the structure of that act that helps propel the story along. And it's based on a specific incident or happening. Okay, and again, that's usually capsulized in 24 hours. The entire play should not take place in more than a year. Now, Shakuntala violates that one a little bit, but it does ultimately have a rewarding and pleasant outcome. Oh, spoiler alert! Okay? But this is, again, one of the sort of standards and characteristics of what Sanskrit drama should contain. Portraying ideal types, meaning that the characters that are meant to represent goodness need to behave in ways that lead to goodness. Now, you will see in Shakuntala some of the good characters getting mad. I'm going to rage, I'm not getting my way. Okay? But that if the character does that, they then have to do something that redeems themselves to make them on the path of goodness again. And then there are some characters that are very one-dimensional bad guys. But we don't encounter them anymore. They are portraying their ideal type as a means of creating an obstacle for the main characters. Okay? And the kind of like when we get to Tartuffe, you'll notice that scenes are marked by when a character enters or exits, and that's very much kind of the way that Sanskrit operates as well. Not entirely in Shakuntala, but pretty close. Before every performance, there was a benediction, and usually these performances, again, centered around some kind of religious celebration, so that there was a benediction to the gods beforehand, and that the outcome of the play, the rasa, which was every play had to have a specific desired targeted outcome, should elicit in the audience some element of something heroic or erotic, and by erotic I mean kind of a sensual sense of love. Okay? Part of the benediction, I don't know if I think I've mentioned this somewhere else, but part of the benediction is how the stage is adorned. Okay? Meaning that it has to look aesthetically beautiful, or it is not considered to be valid. Has anybody ever been to an Indian wedding ceremony? It takes like 3 or 4 days sometimes. Yeah. What do you know about
I mean, like, there's like a before party, then there's like the wedding, and I don't really go to the wedding, like, it's boring, so I just go for the food and
Just go to the food party.
party. Well, it's like a big ceremony. They like walk around, do like all these like weird rituals.
And it's like adorned with lights and
it's like,
marigolds and garlands of flowers and
there's
so,
like lots of gold too. Like,
yeah, lots of gold. So the stage had to look beautiful. It had to be adorned with garlands of flowers wrapped around the posts. There was oftentimes some golden fabric on the curtains and so forth. It was meant to look fabulous.
So was that like as the set, or was that a dressing that was at the?
There really isn't a set. It's a platform.
Oh.
It's a platform with some curtains and this lush, glorious adornments.
Gotcha.
And the adornments would also include beautiful young women as set dressing, oftentimes. Because that was part of the erotic outcome. So the catharsis, you don't have to write this down. You can't. Again, this will be.
Okay.
I'll post these in the
Course video.
Thank you. The catharsis, the reward of this for the audience, otherwise known as the rasa, should be dispassionate delight in the minds of the audience who have been able to look at life steadily with an emotional stability to see it whole as the result of presenting the 8 major sentiments. And those 8 major sentiments are these. They're known as the bhavas, okay? And that each credible Sanskrit performance must contain these elements in order for it to be considered valid. It has to have the erotic longing of desire. There has to be the laughter of farcical joy. There has to be anger arising from some ill treatment, sadness in the separation of one from their love, pride in oneself that leads to positive good action and outcome, fear of reproach or attack. So again, we're creating some kind of dramatic obstacle that needs to be overcome, something to strive for. Aversion or loathing, something that is displeasurable, and the wonder or childlike surprise. And this is kind of really where the sort of fairy tale element of this comes in. So that all of these have to be compiled in order to create the rasa of the pleasant outcome, of the erotic, of the heroic, of the rewarding, somehow, again, achieving a positive and happy ending. So as you are reading through Shakuntala, just kind of try to say, note where you come across these, or keep you don't necessarily have to have all of them in your mind at once, but just sort of note, this elicits this response in me. Here's the spot where we see the fear of reproach or attack. Okay?
Is that the whole quiz, or we're going to have to label 8? Where in the
No.
play?
Where did you feel the
The
most
quiz will still be citing incidents. And
Okay. But just keep note.
It's just, again, this is the rule book, and it's unlike drama anywhere else that really says you have to. I suppose Aristotle says there are a few things that lays out the perfect tragedy, but these are the things that they're nothing like what we have here. That these emotional responses need to be the target of what the audience experiences in this work. We may try in the Western world, but the rules aren't that these have to be there. In addition to those 8, I'm not going to go into these, but there are 33 other kind of what they call transitory elements, such as defeat of greed, for example. Okay? But these are not ones that are required to be in a Sanskrit drama. They are ones that can or are suggested. So that the ultimate outcome of the play should be one of harmony and understanding. There is a lesson. There is a lesson that has been attained through the positive outcome and resolution of somebody's love interest and or actions to benefit others.
Is there of your knowledge and research, is there an existing or even extinct play that had the 8 plus the 33, a perfect rasa script that you know of?
Well,
that nobody had them all.
I know of the clay cart, which is a very involved and popular one. I don't know that it has all of these, but it has several.
So there's no defined like this has all 41.
Not that I'm aware of.
So I'm writing it. Do the 8 elements or those 33 transitionary elements, did those come out of sort of the development, or were they kind of like laid down first?
These are what Bharata laid out, but I'm sure.
Yeah, where did he get his?
Well, again, this is an evolution, and he basically took, from what I understand, and this goes with Vitruvius and Aristotle as well. These are the conditions that I'm seeing, you know, based on my experiences, and nobody has really set these down. So here we go. Okay.
That's where we go.
So it leads to Santa, yes. Otherwise called Santa. A sense of wholeness and an essence of impersonal delight, objective fulfillment. You gotta leave with a smile.